So a craving, an urge, a desire, they oftentimes cause us to do things that we really don't want to do. And we end up, giving into it. And as a result, afterward, we feel horrible. And it's just not a fun experience, is it, when we give into these cravings for things that we want to avoid? So how do we win the battle? Winning the battle comes down to this idea of surf the urge. And it's all about understanding how the urge comes to life and how it eventually dies. So let me explain how this works, okay? So under the why section, cravings start as mild discomfort. That's usually the case, isn't it? When something is kind of gnawing at us and we want to give into it, just kind of is a little bit uneasy. It's not too big of a deal. But what happens? They intensify over time. So we see that in point number 2, right? They are moving in a direction where it's just like the intensity keeps growing and growing and growing. Now, point 3 is eventually they feel like a raging fire. So you can see there in the illustration, when you get to 3, it just feels like it's so intense that it's almost impossible not to give in. And that's where a lot of people do give in, because they think that the urge, the desire, the craving is going to continue to the point where there's no stopping it. And they just figure, I can't take this. I can't take it if it gets worse. But here's the beauty of how this works. And that is, as it mentions there, with time, those cravings, those urges will go away, as it's shown there. So your craving, your urge, your desire to do something maybe you don't want to do is going to be intense, but at some point, it will start to dissipate. It will start to die away, and eventually it will go away with enough time. That's the beauty of what's called the desire curve. So you want to surf the urge. You want to ride out the urge long enough that you can get to the point where it dies down. Okay, so how do you do that? Well, here are some ideas. Here are some steps. When a craving or an urge hits, delay acting on the urge for 3 to 5 minutes. So just tell yourself, you know what, for 3 to 5 minutes, I'm just not going to act. I'm not going to give into it. You might be thinking about it, but I am going to resist taking action of any kind, as opposed to just saying, well, the urge has hit me, so it's time to act on it. No, resist taking action for just a short period of time. That's all it takes. The second thing that you can do is change your environment or activity. So move, read, create, or plan something. So you've got to get out of the state, the place where you are when the urge is hitting you, and disrupt how you feel, what you're looking at, what you're doing, how your body is moving. You've got to disrupt all that. All that disruption, the more that you can do, the more you're going to be able to ride out that urge. Okay, so it's a big distraction to get up and get moving, but it's such an important part of surfing the urge. And then once you do that, you're going to find that you can really oftentimes win the battle of that urge. Eventually it will go away and you'll feel like, you know what, it's still strong, but it's going away and I can deal with this. I don't have to give into it. Now here's what's interesting about this. As it mentions there, each success strengthens your ability to resist in the future. So if you practice this on a regular basis, delay for 3 to 5 minutes, get up and move, each time an urge or a craving hits you, then each success, each time you ride out that urge and you surf the urge until it dies down, the next time it's going to get easier, and the next time it's going to get easier and easier and easier. That's the beauty of how this works. But you need to continually do it. Don't practice this one day and then the next day just give in to your urges or your cravings, whatever it may be, for food or a bad habit. Just practice it consistently, and each time it will get easier. Now, what's the number one roadblock? Giving in to what feels like an overwhelming discomfort. And that's what an urge or a craving oftentimes gets up to, doesn't it? It gets so intense that we just feel like we can't win. But as highlighted, you can win. And one of the best ways that you can handle this is prepare and practice a delay strategy in advance. So if there is a thing that you're dealing with that you want to really stop doing, You need to have a clear idea in advance of what you're going to do when that craving or that urge hits. Practice it. If it's a food craving, what are you going to do? You're going to get up, you're going to get moving, you're going to go grab an apple, you're going to put yourself in a state where you're going to get moving. What are you going to do? Know clearly in advance what you're going to do in advance. Practice it a few times so that when that craving or that urge hits, you know exactly what to do. And that's going to help you to practice this tiny little habit. So again, the idea here is defeat a craving or an urge by delaying acting on it. So this is how you do it. This is how you win the battle. All right? I hope you found this useful and helpful. And if you did, please like, comment, or share. I'd appreciate it. And maybe you can share how you're using this particular strategy to help you to avoid some bad behaviors in your own life. We all have them. And the success that you're having doing this. All right? I'd love to hear from you. Have an amazing day.